What's up everyone, John from Beyond ARTV. It's time for another episode of 7 on Sunday, and today we are actually calling back to an idea that I used earlier this year, top 7 things that I currently hate. I'm thinking about making this a seasonal episode that I do, like once per winter, spring, autumn. You get the idea. I don't think I have to list all 4 seasons, even though I listed 3 right there. Alright, fucking fine. Summer, that's the other season. Getting back on track, what I want to do with this video is highlight sensitive issues, things that I see right now that I just cannot let slide, and I see people tell me occasionally, they're like, John, can't we just let this go? They're not really hurting anything, or it's not really hurting anything, it's not doing that much damage. No, because if we had that philosophy, then everyone would just be nice smiles and waves to everything all the time, and I've always been someone that calls people out on things, whether it be a corporation, an individual, whatever it might be. Today, we're gonna get into 7 potentially hot button issues that I'm sure you guys aren't gonna entirely agree with me on, and that's okay. At the end of the day, it's obviously all just boiling down to my opinion, and I'm not telling you guys that you should feel this way, but I'm giving you reasons as to why I do feel this way. So, I hope you guys do enjoy. Be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Let's kick off our countdown. YouTubers is really how I can just sum up my first topic here. Scummy YouTubers. People who are doing just insane shit and just things that are so sketchy and backhanded, backstabby that we can't not talk about it. And the reason it's so far down on my list and I'm not going to give it a ton of attention or talking time is because there's already so many people obviously exposing or talking about these people, but it's obviously something that I do genuinely hate right now. I'm talking fucking FouseyTube. Seriously, one of the least likable and fake people that I have ever seen on this planet. Leafy is here, and Joey Salads. Joey Salads, getting that salad toss in there. These 3 are leading examples of what not to be whenever you get big on YouTube. Obviously, the biggest offenses of these, I feel like, in my opinion at least, is the Joey Salads social experiment. If you guys are somehow living under a rock and have not heard, he faked this prank to make, I guess, Trump supporters look like victims, basically, because he takes this old car out, puts Trump stickers all over it, and he puts it in the hood, or the ghetto, as he always refers to. And you see all these prank channels doing just in the hood ghetto pranks, and it's just like, you gotta draw the line somewhere with what you're doing. But it was exposed that he was doing it for views and money, obviously, because somebody filmed him on set faking this prank, and he didn't even pay the people that were in it. He made black people look really, really shitty, and that's just completely fucked up. And with FouseyTube, he's someone that from the start I've said is fake as fuck. Nobody, I just don't understand. Like, nobody sees how fucking fake this guy is. He even comes out and admits that he fakes pranks and social experiments, and that is so fucked up, especially to have things like, the homeless child experiment and all these other videos that he did to supposedly shed light on something, and it was all faked, and these aren't really how people are depicted, and they're depicted falsely. They're all actors in your video. And just the fact that FouseyTube comes up with all of these videos, like in his vlogs, where he's just like, oh, I'm taking a stand against this, and then immediately goes back on it by something that he says on Twitter. We're gonna get to this in another one of my points, but it's absolutely absurd. And then with Leafy is here, oh my god, just this guy constantly goes after people and cares about only himself. That's the way Fousey has been for a while as well, and he's taking a hiatus or whatever it may be from YouTube. Hopefully that becomes permanent. Seriously, dude, stay off of the website. And Leafy, your channel popularity going down is only making me smile. Thank you for all of the people who are starting to wake up and seeing what a scummy human being you are. Is $20 enough? Okay, I'm sorry to come in like the grammar police here, but seriously, the comment sections have just totally gone to shit. As my time on YouTube has just become more and more, the more I see all of these kids commenting, it's just like nobody learns anything in school anymore. And I'm seeing people who are like 18, 19, I look at their Twitter to see their age, and they cannot spell the correct form of your or their, and they don't know how to properly spell these very basic words. And I see these comments and I'm just thinking, is this what it's coming down to with our public schooling system? The fact that we're just passing everyone on? Nobody is actually getting taught things, or nobody is really being forced to learn, so why bother, right? I mean, you can't really fault the kids for that if they're just being passed on year after year, but then again, I can blame the kids' parents for not pushing them to actually learn things. Instead, you probably let them sit on their iPad or their gaming system or whatever it might be for hours on end, but in reality, they're not learning life skills that are applicable and necessary in order to function in society. But here we have just these kids that can't fucking spell, they can't even properly get out their thoughts on something in a comment section or in a post. I mean, I've seen people leave like a paragraph long post and in my comment section, there's no commas in there, just no periods, they have no sentence structure, it's all fragments. And I know, like I said, I'm coming in like grammar police here, but seriously, there's a bigger problem than just the kids leaving the comments themselves. It's not just 1 or 10 or 100 kids that are ignorant, it's an entire generation, and something needs to be done about it. My point for number 5 is bands who sell merch based on trends. Bands who sell things who are trying to get super popular off of whatever is hype at the time, like Fall Out Boy selling a Stranger Things styled shirt. And obviously everyone on that label kind of hops on that blame DCD2, I suppose, but guess who's in charge of that? Pete Wentz of Fall Out Boy. And no, those are not the only bands that I'm calling out. That's one that easily comes to mind, but there's plenty of bands that do this certain thing. And selling something based on a movie or whatever it may be, there's nothing wrong with that, but every time hopping on whatever it might be, whether it be a seasonal thing, that's understandable, I suppose. Selling like a Halloween shirt, Blink-182 has always done that. And then there's bands that do their Christmas shirts. There's nothing wrong with that per se. What I have a problem with is that every time something starts trending and becomes a nationwide thing in the United States, the band releases merch on that just to try and capitalize. And I suppose I should be a little bit more empathetic because, yeah, it can be harder to make a living out there these days for bands. But come on, seriously, these huge bands who are trying to cash in on these and immediately have a shirt up every time something like this happens, you do not need the money. You are selling out arenas, you're still selling albums, you're making money from Spotify, there's still money in the music business. And releasing shirts like this is just kind of damaging to their reputation and kind of makes me just turn away with like that emoji that has the sick face over it. You're just like, every time I see that. It's not genuine outrage or anything like that all the time, but I hate it just because it makes me a little bit sick to my stomach because I see them trying to profit off of these things. That's just what I have a problem with. Next up on the chopping block, we have the plastics, the fakes of the world, the fake friends, the hypocrites. And of course, I myself can be a total hypocrite. I am the first one to admit that. But I'm talking about the people who can never be wrong, never admit fault, never apologize whenever something happens. And that could be said for so many different situations, and I know you're saying, John, that's just a blanket term that could really be applied to anything. Mainly today, I'm talking about the people who care so much just about their appearance and about the way that they conduct themselves that they forget everything and everyone else in their life. And it's obviously a growing trend with social media and obviously things like Snapchat, Instagram. You want to look amazing online and you want to portray yourself a certain way, even in real life, to your friends. And you come across so fake as a result of that, and it affects your personality because you think all of a sudden that, oh, I guess I am this person that I portray online. Maybe I should act more like that. And as a result of that, we have backstabbing, backlashing, bitterness, revenge, all of these things that would not have even existed like 20 years ago. And people just did not care as much. Sure, people have always put focus on themselves. And obviously, I'm not calling everyone a narcissist that enjoys Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, anything like that. I use a couple of those things. I will never use Snapchat, but I use other social media devices. And I'm not saying that you're being self-absorbed by doing that. I'm saying you're being self-absorbed whenever you come across as so fake you care about that over anything else in the world, essentially. And just coming across fake, it just means that it pertains to caring about like the way that you are, being so selfish that you can't be selfless for anybody else in your life. And that really bothers me whenever I see it, especially whenever friends just aren't there for each other like they're supposed to be, if they truly are friends. I see this not only in my day-to-day life, but with like celebrities as well. People like Taylor Swift, for example. She's a huge one, someone who gets called a snake quite often, and I defended her for a while, but to be quite honest, I've changed my opinion on that. She really does seem quite snaky. She's one of those kind of fake nice people, and I feel like there is a genuine person inside her, and she grew up on such humbled roots. She was from the country scene, and I still love and enjoy her music. That doesn't change. I can separate the music from the person that's making it. And obviously Taylor Swift as a person these days, it's just kind of hard to defend because it feels like every move she makes is so calculated, and I suppose to an extent she can't help that, but she comes across so snakish and just like she's winding around seeing who she's gonna prey on next, or what ex she can write about, or what friendship is gonna be ruined. And we have the whole bad blood thing, and then we have Lady Gaga calling her out in a song on her new album, and it seems like it could be directed at her at least. I suppose it could be another blanket thing where it could just be a very general statement, but I think we all know who it might be directed towards. Anyways, positivity towards friends, that's the most important thing, and I think people really need to focus on that more than just themselves. Put yourself out there for others, and that will come back to you. My number 3 selection, kids who get famous for doing jack shit. You should have to have some sort of talent to actually get noticed, get famous, and that's the way it's been for so long. And I understand that times are a-changing, and they're like, John, you sound so bitter over there. No. Do you think about it at the end of the day? Do you think about the fact that it's just like, this child sings to a camera, not even well, not even a good lip sync, like Musically, for example, or posting photos of themselves to Instagram and getting 1.8 million likes. Call it jealousy all you want, but I call it idiocy on everyone following them's point. Why not follow somebody who actually has something to offer to the world other than your Jacob Sartoriuses? Or, I can't even think of some of these kids' names. Tanner Fox, the people that Rice Gum roast. I'm not a fan of Rice Gum by any means, but I totally understand why he goes after the kids that he does. And not that it's really okay to make fun of kids, and I don't think hate should be sent towards them. I feel like it's more of an issue of where our society is headed. You know, you could just get popular, you say you're live streaming on Twitch all the time, and all you do is just sit there and like make cute faces at the camera, or you have this huge horde of teenagers following you, or tweens, because you just take a bunch of selfies. That's not a talent. It's never gonna be a talent. Anybody can take a fucking picture. Anybody can take on layers of makeup or layers of filters. And the real you is what should be shown to the world, and maybe what you have is a talent. And take Shawn Mendes, for example. He's someone that I don't really care for his music all that much, but he's a kid who came from Vine that actually did something and blew up. That is a good example. But the opposite of that would be your Jacob Sartorius. He tweets things like, "I love you, cutie," and it's like, who the fuck are you talking to? And it gets like thousands of retweets and like 60,000 likes, and then selfies from him for what? Starting off with posting videos of himself jarringly moving at his phone camera, and we are entertained by that. I'm sorry, not we, because I'm not throwing myself in that modern society term. It's like Green Day said, I don't want to live in a modern world. Damn, John, you sound so bitter. You're so jealous. You're such a hater. I'm just imagining comments up to this point, and it actually kind of makes me smile a little bit, because it's just like, you know, God forbid that I would actually want a positive change on society instead of us just being a bunch of self-involved assholes. But let's move on to our number 2, which also deals with that. It's kind of a similar point, but it's not a mute point, because I actually want to talk about it in a little bit more of a detail, and I realize that maybe I've been guilty of doing some of these things myself. And so here I am speaking to past, current, and future John as well. So listen up, John. I've got a point to make. People who are desperate for social media attention. That is my number 2. I'm talking about people who are so desperate for likes, or desperate for comments, or desperate for whatever it may be, a certain type of photo, or a certain image, a certain way that they portray themselves online, that they will sacrifice all of their time for it, Just take, for example, if a group of friends are hanging out, and I don't know, there's 4 people, and 3 of them are totally into the conversations, and they're there living in the moment, as one should be, especially if you're trying to have real connections with your friends. But there's the one friend there that is constantly trying to get the perfect selfie or the perfect story for their Snapchat, so they're constantly just like putting the phone in your face. They're constantly saying, guys, let's do this so that we can get this shot. Let's try and do that so that we can get this. That'd be great. You know, oh, redo that. Can we do that again? I know that was just a real moment there and a real reaction, but can we fake that again so I can get it for my Instagram story or my Snapchat story or my MySpace story, whatever the fuck it may be. And the other 3 friends start getting annoyed because they've got that one friend that is like that. And there's so many people like that in existence these days. Somebody who is going to jump on whatever the trend may be, whether it be the mirror selfie trend where they throw the phone up in the air, have the self timer on, and try to get a photo. Don't even get me started on people who post like 20 plus hashtags on everything they post on like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram especially. That's one where people will post all these tags and they think they're going to get a ton of likes back. Those aren't even real likes. It's almost equivalent to buying likes. And yes, there are people who do that, fucking buying likes, followers to validate their existence on social media. And it's just like these celebrities that will buy like, oh, 1 million followers, like Joe McHale from Community, for example. He has over 1.5 million Twitter followers, I believe, something like that. And his posts get like 100 likes, and it's just like, there's 1 million people following you, but you get this many. Apparently, according to one of my friends that used to do this, there are subscription services for buying likes for your photo. Every time that you upload a photo, it'll instantly get 100 likes or something like that, which is absolutely insane that anybody would pay money for that. Summing up my rant here, I think it's absolutely scummy, and I think it's ridiculous how focused people are on their online media presence. And I'm not calling you out directly if you do that, but it's just like maybe dial it back a bit and realize that you should be focusing on other things instead. There's more to life, and your likes aren't going to mean a damn thing in the long run. We finally get to my number 1 and final point, something I'm going to try and keep quick. My number 1 choice for the number 1 thing that I hate right now, Donald J. Trump. Seriously, middle finger right here. A huge fuck you, Donald Trump. I appreciate all the campaigning for that Billy Joe Armstrong of Green Day has been doing. Seriously, it means a lot that we're rallying behind it in the music community. Of course, there's people on both sides of the fence, and I'm not going to say that you're a terrible person necessarily for voting for Trump. You might have your reasons, and that's fine, but if you're agreeing with some of the things that Trump does, it's just detestable. And the fact that you could support someone who is so openly bigoted, racist, sexist, the way he talks to people, it's like he wants to be the United States dictator rather than president. He has no law-abiding ethics. It just seems like there's no morality there, and he pretty much does and tries to do whatever he wants. No, I do not love everything that Hillary does, but in response to Casey Neistat, I suppose, I will be voting for Hillary Clinton. And no, I was not paid by the Hillary Foundation. No, they don't want me. Donald Trump is a despicable human being, and I'm gonna leave it at that. There's so many reasons as to why. Read up on it before you vote, but I definitely encourage you guys to vote on November 8th. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of 7 on Sunday. Let me know your thoughts on it in the comments section down below, tastefully and respectfully. If you have counterpoints to my points, sound off without name calling. Let's just keep it at that. Anyways, guys, if you'd like to see more 7 on Sunday, there's a playlist linked in the description. You can see the last episode I did or a recent review by clicking those annotations. Other than that, I will see you guys very soon right here on Beyond ARTV.